Welcome back to Ride JBI. This is JB. Today we're doing a little comparison test of a bone stock 2023 Yamaha YZ450F versus our JBI Spec 2023 KTM 450SXF with JBI Spec WP cone valve forks and a JBI Spec modified stock shock, which features JBI valving and our JBI bladder kits. The reason we're doing this test is so we can benchmark our KTM results against the Yamaha. Because if you've ridden a new Yamaha or have ridden Yamahas over the years, you will know how competitive and how good the stock suspension settings are. And they really set the standard or the benchmark in terms of how good a bike can handle in the suspension department. So at Ride JBI, we want to use that as a benchmark to shoot for and see how close our KTM settings are. So let's begin by first looking at the 2023 Yamaha YZ450. It features a very similar KYB shock from the previous year, which has a 16mm shock shaft and 50mm main damping piston. The frame is very updated and shrunk down from the previous year and more slim with better ergonomics. This is generation 3 of the KYB SSS forks. The first gen came out in 2006. 2018 would be the second generation, and now these forks are considered the gen 3 of these KYB SSS forks, and they are feeling and performing better than ever. The linkage on the Yamaha has not really changed much at all since about 2006. They pretty much use the same spring rates for the same rider weight since 2006, and much of the same damping profiles and let's say shim stacks as well. So that's an easy way to tell that they have not changed their linkage much. That's important because linkage has a big feel over how a bike feels. While riding the new Yamaha, what stood out very quickly was how well the bike tracks on the ground. Meaning as the wheels go over small and medium-sized bumps, the bike just tracks the ground really well. It gives you a really good sensation of traction and handling. The JBI Spec KTM 450SXF, again, this is a 2023 model. These are the JBI Spec WP cone valve forks that we have on the front of this bike. We've been very busy the past year, really honing down and improving our WP settings. This is a look at the linkage that we have on the bike. In 2017, KTM really changed up their linkage ratio, so much so that it requires much softer spring rates than they did in the past for the 2011 and 2015 models. Funny enough, the 2011 to 2015 models had a very similar linkage curve as the past Yamaha. As the current Yamaha. So one thing that, again, really stood out on the KTMs was that it was just a lot more chattery as we rode on the ground and went over the surface of small and medium-sized bumps. It still absorbs the bumps, but not nearly as well or have that kind of gliding feeling that the Yamaha had. When it comes to absorbing medium-sized impacts and jump landings, I can confidently say that our KTM is very similar and evenly matched in performance to the Yamaha. If anything, it probably has a little bit better bottoming performance than the Yamaha does. So it was a really good test today, getting to ride on the new Yamaha YZ450F and get a good gauge for where we are with our KTM settings, and also get a gauge on how to start looking at these new Yamahas and figure out how do we improve on this already very, very, very good bike. Ride JBI has been busy working on Yamahas since 2006, so it is a bike we're very familiar with. And it's been very fun watching the updates and changes over the years that Yamaha has done to the YZF model line. So I'm excited here at Ride JBI because it was a really good test day to see where our KTM specs fall in comparison to the Yamahas. And then again, also beginning to learn where we can start pinpointing some areas on the Yamaha that can be improved as well. The owner of this bike is a guy named Lauren. We previously did a test with him. He did a test of KYB forks against a set of our WP Exact 6500 forks when he had a KTM, and now he is on this new Yamaha. So we'll be working a lot more with him in some future videos. We'll get him to ride both bikes back to back, the KTM and the Yamaha, and then also start doing some modifications to his bike as well and sharing that info with you guys as we do that. To summarize today's impressions, the stock 2023 Yamaha definitely has more sensitive, responsive, and plush suspension to where it makes the bike feels like it's gliding over the ground, whereas the KTM is more chattery in that sense. Now keep in mind, the KTM is still very rideable and raceable, but this is the main area that really stood out in the difference of the suspension performance of the two bikes. When it comes to absorbing medium size or medium impact and high impact obstacles, we've done a really good job at Ride JBI at making our KTM perform very well, and it is very evenly matched with the Yamaha in that area. If anything, we have achieved a little bit more bottoming resistance than the Yamaha. So with that in mind, that is one area we are going to focus on with the new Yamaha YZ450 model, is maintaining that great plushness and sensitiveness that it has, while also improving its bottoming resistance. So the JBI Pro Purge 3.0 is one thing that's going to help out a lot with this new Yamaha in terms of helping the bottoming. And now that we've learned how plush and sensitive a bike can ride, we're going to do all that we can at Ride JBI to apply those attributes to the new KTM. So that's why we like to test bikes back to back here at Ride JBI, to learn where each bike falls short of each other and how to fill in those gaps.